Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Farsi Show, presented by MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. And it's wonderful to have you along for the ride, especially when we get to talk about two wonderful things. One, just wonderful, just fantastic. That's Zack Wheeler. The other, historical. The WNBA is coming to Philadelphia. I love this. And in all honesty, I'm sitting at lunch yesterday with Little Toots, okay? Sitting there, we're enjoying a fine pizza, okay? And I said, hey, sweetheart, by the way, you know how Daddy watches Sixers play basketball? And she goes, yeah. I said, you know how they're a bunch of dudes? And she's like, yeah. And I said, well, the WNBA is coming to Philadelphia, which is basketball played by women, professional women. So girls basketball coming to Philadelphia to professional ranks. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not kidding you. Face lit up. She was so excited to hear that. Maybe now she'll sit next to me for a basketball game and actually watch a little bit. She watches a little bit of baseball right now, but maybe a little bit of basketball is coming down the line in 2030. So how about that? I have always thought that Philadelphia not having a WNBA team was embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. And now WNBA coming to Philadelphia. It's a little over 5 years away. So how about that? Love to see it. We also have the 76ers to talk about. They made an acquisition yesterday, NBA free agency. They added a power forward, which also pretty much spells the end for Gershon Yabusele and his resurgence of an NBA career. Good for him. He's going to sign elsewhere, most likely. This deal kind of means the end of that. So we'll get to all that and more on today's program. First, your Philadelphia Phillies yesterday, most notably Zack Wheeler. Have we just run out of things? Like, you look at the box score alone just yesterday, and you go, wow, 8 scoreless. He was dominant. But it was like a different kind of dominance yesterday for Zack Wheeler. The curveball. I thought I was being crazy through the first inning or two. I was like, wow, he seems like really reliant on the curveball. Or reliant might be the wrong word, but he seems like this is really working for him today. He is definitely using this more than he's used before. And then I think he got his second or third put out with it, his punch out with it. And even T-Mac during the broadcast goes, he is really using that curveball. And I'm like, yeah, okay, good. I'm not crazy. Because usually we're used to 97, 98 mile per hour fastballs, sinkers with great run on it, sweepers, fooling guys. And this time it was like curveball in the dirt. Guys are flailing away at it. It was reminiscent of what you saw in the previous start for the Phillies by Ranger Suarez in Atlanta against the Braves, which was just guys flailing away at curveballs, sinkers, and the difference being, velocity wasn't 98 miles per hour like it was this time around. Absolutely incredible from what you saw from Zack Wheeler. He finishes the month of June with a 0.58 ERA. And in this particular start, he actually got some run support. And it wasn't necessarily the most traditional way to score runs, but however the Phillies are going to score runs now, by all means, score runs. But before we get to the offense, the numbers on Zack Wheeler yesterday, where did I have those? I had those somewhere. One strikeout by way of the sinker, one strikeout by way of the sweeper, 4 by way of the fastball, and 4 by way of the curveball. You never see that. The punch-out pitch being a curveball as often as the fastball, don't see that with Zack Wheeler. And he was at, 95 pitches going into the 8th inning? Yeah, 95 pitches going in to the 8th inning, and I was thinking, is Topper's not? He's going to put him out there, right? You're going to put him out there. You're going to have him pitch. You're going to go out. He's going to pitch, right? He didn't. He did, and I was waiting for it. They didn't show Zack Wheeler coming out for the top of the 8th inning, but T-Mac said, and basically here comes Zack Wheeler. I was like, thank goodness. And his last pitch was a 98 mile per hour rising fastball on Jackson Merrill that he just flailed away at. Like, forget about top of the zone. It was at his eyes
And he just couldn't help himself. And that was the final punch out. That was the 10th and final punch out of the night for Zack Wheeler, and he was done after that. You run out of things to say about a guy that has just been absolutely dominant, especially for a month. You run out of things to say about Ranger Suarez, who has also been dominant now for 10 straight starts. This is incredible. These are two all-stars. No question, all-stars in your rotation. And after the game, Zack Wheeler he alluded to, well, he didn't allude to, he flat out said, this is one of the best things about being part of a great rotation, or at least having somebody else in the rotation, putting up just as dominant numbers, if not more, considering he's lasted longer, more innings and all that stuff since coming off the IL. And that's Ranger Suarez. The phrase he used was friendly competition.
We always say it's a friendly competition. Ranger went out and did his thing yesterday, and hopefully Sanchi outperforms me tomorrow. So it's friendly competition, and I think that's what drives all of us to just be better. And we look at each other, we watch each other, and just try to learn and be the best we can.
Sound courtesy of NBC Sports Philadelphia. You want those guys pushing each other. The big conversation, and I'll always go back to this because it was such an amazing time. The four aces. All those guys talking about how each one of them is going to push the other. And at the time, not just on the pitching side of things, but I believe they had a bet as to who was going to hit the first home run of the season, and it went to Cliff Lee. But yeah, any way to push each other, any way to have a little extra competition, anywhere to break the mundane routine that you can fall into as a baseball player, they'll do it. Whatever keeps it interesting. So good for them. Zack Wheeler, the offense he received yesterday. So after, 6 scoreless in Houston, and he takes the loss in that game. He goes 8 scoreless yesterday and gets run support nearly right out of the gate in the second inning thanks to a bouncing grounder, high bouncer to second base in the second inning, courtesy of Bryson Stott, bringing home Max Kepler from third. 1-0 Phils. Okay, early runs. We'll take it. Then go to the fourth inning, and this is where the Phillies played some small ball. And I'm telling you, I had Chase Utley vibes. Chase Utley vibes yesterday from this play from Bryson Stott. Romuto led off the inning, lining out the center field. Bryson Stott worked a walk on 5 pitches against Matt Waldron, who, by the way, was making his 2025 debut yesterday. So he hasn't pitched. Maybe a little rusty in terms of the fundamentals of baseball. So he walks Bryson Stott. Brandon Marsh steps up to the plate. Stott steals second base. Good hustle. Stotty too hotty. Stott's on second now. 1 out. Brandon Marsh bounces one to Luis Ariz deep beyond the first base bag. Luis Ariz fields it, looks to first, where a fundamentally sound pitcher should be. Unfortunately for Matt Waldron, he is not. Was not in this instance. Late getting to the bag causes chaos to break out the first base bag. Luis Ariz late getting to the toss because there's nobody there. This is all on Waldron. Waldron finally hustles over there, although late, gets the toss from Luis Ariz, does not beat Brandon Marsh to the bag, takes a downbeat. Bryson Stott, rounding third base, realizing what's going on, reading the play perfectly, comes around to score, just getting his hand across home plate before they were able to tag him out. Yes, it absolutely gave me Chase Utley vibes. I want to say it was 2006, 2007 maybe, with the very famous Harry Callis, "You Are the Man." That thing. Oh, baby. It gave me vibes. It gave me vibes. Absolute hustle play. And then I even forgot about this. What a great game yesterday by Bryson Stott. Now, I don't have the box score in front of me. Oh, my goodness gracious. The box score shows 0 for 3. I think it was 0 for 3, 0 for 2 maybe. But had an RBI, and then also scored that run, a stolen base. And, yeah, it was great. It also doesn't show the amazing play that he made at second base. And Zack Wheeler, after the game, was asked about the great play by Bryson Stott. I don't think the reporter meant the double play ball. but it reminded me of what the hell happened. I believe it was fifth inning. Phillies are up 3-0. They ended up scoring another run in that fourth inning. They scored 2 runs. They were up 3-0 by the end of the fourth inning. Trey Turner brought home Brandon Marsh on a bouncer to third. Ruben Amaro Jr. said on the postgame show yesterday that he thought the ball was going to bounce foul. I didn't see the angle of that, but maybe. Machado fielded it, and there was no play to be made. Marsh read it perfectly. He scored on it. Turner just enough good wood on it to get an infield single. So essentially, it's 2 RBI infield singles in the inning that the Phillies scored 2 runs on in the fourth. Almost the smallest of ball, okay? So in the fifth inning, the Padres try to come back, try to get something going. Bogaerts gets a leadoff single. Cronenworth gets hit by a pitch. You got first and second with nobody out. Wheeler strikes out Johnson on a 2-2 fastball. Brooks steps up to the plate, lines out to Bryson Stott at second base, who then gets Bogaerts doubled off second base. Stott makes like a semi-diving stab, if you will, and then gets Bogaerts to get doubled off second base. After the game, that's the play that Zack Wheeler, I think, thought he was getting asked about, when in reality, I think he was getting asked about playing the third inning, but whatever. And it got Zack Wheeler out of really the only jam, if you want to even call it that, that he would get into on the night. 10 strikeouts for him last night, 8 scoreless, as we mentioned. There was one other play where the Phillies really tried to get him some early run support, and that came in the third inning. With 2 men on, Max Kepler stepped up and belted first pitch fastball, deep center field, or sweeper, first pitch sweeper, deep center field. Jackson Merrill back against the wall, leaps, full extension, robs Max Kepler and the Phillies of a 3-run home run. Would have made it a 4-0 game in the third inning, but nothing doing there, unfortunately, for a struggling Max Kepler. And he just smiled like, yeah, that's been my luck lately. That's that. Padres are a really good baseball team. Phillies were able to pick up their 50th win of the season against the Padres. Zack Wheeler improves to 8-3 on the season, and Bryce Harper comes back. Again, this is one of the things you look at the box score and you go, 0 for 2 with a walk, and he was hit by a pitch. In the foot, a curveball. He's fine. But Bryce Harper walks to the plate, first time in almost a month. Standing ovation from the crowd. Love to see it. Ended up working a walk. His next at bat, he hit a ball on the screws to Luis Arraez with a runner on first. No, excuse me. That was... Yeah, no, there was definitely a runner on first because of a double play. Luis Arraez smothers it and tags first for the double play. That was that. So he hit the ball on the screws. Absolutely hit the ball on the screws, but wasn't able to get anything out of it. Just good to have him back in the lineup. Good to see him healthy. I know there's been conversations. I think I mentioned this yesterday. I know there's been conversations about moving into the outfield. No, thanks. I'm good. Don't need to do that. I don't need him throwing out the arm as he'll do. If you remember, and I was half kidding about this, but when he played first base for the first time, I want to say it was against the Pirates. He literally, the first inning of the game, there's a ball hitting foul territory to first base, and he's jumping into a freaking camera well. Like, if he's going to be out there, he's going to be all out playing. So I don't need him trying to throw out a runner at home from the left field corner or something and blowing out his arm again, or is hurting his wrist or his elbow or whatever. Don't need it. But good to see him back in the lineup last night either way. Everything looked good in that regard. As for why Rob Thompson had Zack Wheeler go out for that 8th inning despite being already at 95 pitches, he's got another. Well, first off, it's Zack Wheeler. He could do it. Second, he's got a day off coming up because the Phillies have the off day Thursday. So there you go. That's why they did it. Good for them. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to watch a pitcher be dominant and already have at least a few runs of support. You know, have a lead, in other words, Not like Houston, where your pitchers are being dominant and you're out there sweating, wondering whether or not your offense is going to wake up at all to give run support to your pitcher. This is a lot better. I like this a lot better. They should keep doing this. So love that for the Phillies yesterday, getting that win. Like I said, their 50th win of the season. Looking over the numbers, it's crazy. So today is July 1st. Looking over the numbers for the Phillies in the month of June, the guy that has really stolen the show has been Ranger Suarez. The guy right behind him, obviously, with a .58 ERA, is Zack Wheeler. But I was wondering what the difference was going to be with Bryce Harper coming back to the lineup. And I did mention that, we have a guy like Harper in the lineup against the Astros, and you have no offense whatsoever. You never know when he can put something together and actually get that long ball, and he changes the outcome of the game with one swing of the bat, because he's certainly capable of being that guy. Now, when you talk about with and without Bryce Harper in the lineup, Phillies this year, 15 games over 500 with Bryce Harper in the lineup. Without Bryce Harper in the lineup, 13 and 14, one game under 500. So 15 over 500, one game under 500. Runs per game, it's about a half a run per game more with him in the lineup than it is with him out. Batting average, they are 7 points better, 257 to 250 with Bryce Harper. And they slug 405 compared to 395. These are slight differences that make you go, $330 million. That's the difference for half a run. But bottom line, when your offense is not scoring any runs like they did in Houston and struggled to in Atlanta as well. And even last night, they played some small ball, took advantage of defensive ineptitude more than anything. Nick Castellanos, look, I know that Max Kepler had a 3-run home run robbed from him, but still it was robbed. Good play by Merrill Jackson. I'm not going to take that away from him. And then Nick Castellanos got the solo home run in the 5th inning, his 10th of the year. But they mostly took advantage of defensive ineptitude from the San Diego Padres yesterday. So I don't really feel as if we're out of the woods yet when it comes to this Phillies offense. Now, today, they got our old friend Nick Pivetta on the hill. Pivetta's coming off a 7 scoreless inning performance, by the way, against the Washington Nationals. That's what he's bringing into town. Christopher Sanchez gets the ball for the Phils. Cross your fingers, hope some good things happen today. And the Phillies really break out of it, offensively speaking. Because yesterday, robbed of a 3-run home run, fine. A walk, an infield single, 2 stolen bases, another infield single, got you 2 runs yesterday. Small ball. Oh, also an RBI ground out got you a run. So, all right. Let's get it going as far as that goes. Now, to go back and concentrate on the month of May, just as far as the hitting goes with this team, again, they did not have Bryce Harper in the lineup, but I feel like the last week of the month has kind of put a damper on things. Just to go over a couple of things here. Brandon Marsh in the month of June, 324 is what he hit with a 360 on base percentage. Alec Boehm still hit 300 for the month. JT Realmuto, this is the best sign you can have, because he's going to play. Like, no matter, he's going to play. Rafael Marchand ain't taking reps from him, okay? But JT Realmuto in the month of June, 293 with a 348 on base percentage. That is, to see those numbers from JT Realmuto, who's batting around 223 before, to see him put up a month like that, that is great. Trey Turner still 286, still not the 300 that we're used to, but still good. Nick Castellanos, shockingly, as per usual, 276 batting average. Even Rafael Marchand, 278 in limited playing time. 8 games he played in the month of June. This is just a step in the right direction for a lot of these Phillies players. Marchand, Realmuto, Brandon Marsh, I'd put it right up around there with JT Realmuto. But yeah, a good month, despite the way it ended with the offense struggling. To see these guys be able to do this in the month of June is great. And you know what? Yeah, May So my thing with Brandon Marsh, he hit 298 in May with a 385 on base percentage. He's done very well before. That's great for Brandon Marsh. He's had great runs. Usually it's one a year, and then when it's over, it's over. And he never recaptures the magic. For him to actually go out there and hit 298 and then follow that in the month of June with a 324 batting average, that's wonderful. I never thought I'd see that from Brandon Marsh. I thought we'd seen the best from him already. We did not. Now we've seen this is the best. Can he keep it going? Can he be a 270, 290 hitter the rest of the way? That's why they always have to break it down monthly in baseball. Unless you're, God, they were telling Tony, of course they were, with John Kruk playing with Tony Gwynn and the Padres being in town and Tony Gwynn Jr. being in town. Of course, they're telling Tony Gwynn stories. And John Kruk was just like, yeah, if he's hitting 300, he's like, man, I'm in a slump. They can't all be equal in terms of talent when it comes to these athletes. Tony Gwynn just built different, man. Built different. Christopher Sanchez today, another 6:30 start time. Nick Pivetta gets the ball. Well, how about this? If you hear it again, Zack Wheeler cheering on Christopher Sanchez in this moment.
We always say it's a friendly competition. Ranger went out and did his thing yesterday, and hopefully Sanchi outperforms me tomorrow. So it's a friendly competition, and I think that's what drives.
Hopefully Sanchi outperforms me tomorrow. Well, have at it, Christopher Sanchez. You have an opportunity to do it. Go out there and do it. Hey, your Philadelphia 76ers made an acquisition yesterday. Now, yesterday on Locked On 76ers, Keith Pompey and I, we talked about Quentin Grimes, $25 million. Yee! If you're paying him $25 million, he's going to be in your starting rotation. Or starting lineup, I should say. $25 million. That's a lot. Gershon Yabusele. I would love to see him back. I really enjoyed watching him play last year. He ain't going to be back. The Sixers, late last night, right after the Phillies wrapped up, as a matter of fact. I know because I just got a text message from a buddy of mine saying, and the Sixers do nothing, basically. And literally 5 minutes after that, I saw Keith's tweet come up. The Philadelphia 76ers have signed Trendon Watford, 6'8", 6'9", depending who you believe. Power forward, formerly the Brooklyn Nets, formerly an undraftable. I guess he'll always be an undrafted player, but an undrafted player nonetheless. Also, close friend of Tyrese Maxey, from what I understand. He is now joining the 76ers on a 2-year, $5.3 million deal. Okay. Andre Drummond. Janai Broom. Adem Bona. Kelly Oubre, ability to play up and down, 2 to 4, kind of. I mean, let's face it, is power forward really a thing? Yep. I don't see a lot of room for a guard-heavy team adding another power forward in Gershon Yabusele. I don't see the dancing bear dancing his way back to Philadelphia, unfortunately. Yeah, it's not going to happen. According to Keith Pompey, the Sixers are going more or less all in on retaining Quentin Grimes. I really like Quentin Grimes. $25 million. Dude, that's steep. That ain't, nope. No, thank you. Gershon Yabusele, I'd rather see him come back on somewhat, I guess, decent money, but I doubt it. They, again, seem to be all in, according to Keith, on bringing back Quentin Grimes. Look, if you watch the finals, I like how everyone watches the NBA finals and goes, oh, that's how you win. Let's do that. Well, it takes a lot to do that. It doesn't just happen overnight, unfortunately. But the Sixers are not, I don't think it's just a matter of being all in on Quentin Grimes. I think they're all in on making sure that their guards are up to snuff with being able to compete at the highest possible level in the NBA. Not just being in the NBA, but being able to compete. look, I don't expect, and I think if anyone looked at the numbers from last year, from when Quentin Grimes was traded here, if you think he's going to get those kinds of numbers in this upcoming season, then that means that something horrible what happened to the Philadelphia 76ers this year. Similar to what happened last year, which was everyone sat out and Quentin Grimes went and got his numbers. I watched last year, and my takeaway was that Quentin Grimes can run a second unit. That was my takeaway. It wasn't, oh, if this guy signed, this guy's an all-star. 28 points, 30 points. Oh, my God, guy's all. No, somebody's got to score. He was the best shooter, best scorer available. He did a lot of it. Good for him. He showed me that if he has to come out and run a second unit, even in a playoff game, you ain't going to go into a tailspin. You're not going to have a Joel Embiid to B-ball Paul drop-off in terms of efficiency. You know what I mean? That's what I get out of it. $25 million? Holy pots and pans. That's a lot. I ain't doing that. That's a lot of money. And the other thing that it shows you is, you're talking about a player that has proven he can play at the NBA level. He's not some scrub. He's a guy that can run a second unit. That's a legit job title in the NBA. $25 million is a lot of money to retain Quentin Grimes. Now, you might just look around and go, well, the hell with it. You're already paying Paul George a crazy amount of money. You're already paying Joel Embiid a crazy amount of money. Tyrese Maxey went and got his rookie max extension last year. Good for him. So what's the next step in doing all this? Well, apparently the Sixers are willing to go into the second apron and do whatever it takes in terms of retaining players they think they can retain, bringing in players they think they can bring in order to help them. Before I say this next sentence, let me just put in some parentheses here. This is what the Sixers are thinking. This is not what I am thinking. And I really don't think it's what you are thinking. But what the Sixers are thinking, they retain what they can retain. They bring in what they can bring in. And with a wide open Eastern Conference, the Sixers go out there and compete for a championship. Back to the parentheses. That's what they're thinking. Back to reality. It ain't happening. But here's, if you're Daryl Morey, if you're Josh Harris, if you're Nick Nurse, you're holding on to, and this is where I feel like they're making the mistake. They're holding on to the idea that Joel Embiid is going to be able to play 50, 55, maybe 60 games healthy, and load managed the entire season where he's not playing in back-to-backs. Maybe even if he logs a lot of minutes in one particular game, they say, hey, I'm going to give you the day off 2 days from now as well. Paul George, same thing, around that same number. They're looking at him being like, all right, everybody take it easy. Nobody blowing out a hammy. Nobody getting a knee contusion. Nobody having a hyperextension. Nobody. Everybody chill. And they're hoping that they could manage these guys' workloads going into the postseason and then unleash fury. That's their hope. And they're clinging on to that little tiny drop of hope when it comes to the health of the two big contract guys on their squad. That's what they're holding out hope for. Jason Tatum being out, still feeling like you could beat the Pacers with a healthy roster. They feel like right now, they just keep these guys healthy. I mean, oh God, now that was me talking, they keep these guys healthy and they have a shot. I don't see it happening. Like I said, it's a drop of hope in the ocean of disappointment. It's what it is. So I'm looking at this, unfortunately, not with rose-colored glasses, but just being real. I don't know anyone that's going to feel confident about the Sixers going into this season. You might have guys you're going to be rooting for in terms of development and Tyrese Maxey taking another step forward, and maybe even Quentin Grimes comes back. You're really rooting for him, especially if it's at $25 million. Dembona continuing to get better. Jared McCain continuing to get better. What VJ Edgecombe really brings to the table and all that. But I'm looking at it right now going, yep, it's a droplet of hope in an ocean of disappointment. That's the way I look at it right now with your Philadelphia 76ers. 76ers. Let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered. And how about this? The Game Time Picks feature on the Game Time app. You know what that does? That takes care of it, man. When it comes to all the fluff that's out there, forget it. It just filters it all out so you get right down to it. The best seats at the best prices on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportsnation.com. How about Sky Motor Cars? Brett's amazing inventory at skymotorcars.com. Make sure you check it all out at skymotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how we're doing on this fine morning. Rye, good morning. Farzy and friends, good morning. Happy Tuesday. F Dallas. As always, Rye, thank you. Buddy Christ, hello. Jason A., good morning. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Buddy Christ, happy Bobby Bonilla Day. I absolutely love Bobby Bonilla Day. I'm reminded of like this guy who I grew up watching with the Mets and the Orioles. That's who I really remember for. Was he a Dave Dombrowski acquisition? He must have been. With the Miami Marlins, then Florida Marlins in 97. Yeah, because Dave Dombrowski was the GM then. I just typed in Bobby Marlins. Bobby Bonilla. Remember the way John Miller used to say his name on Sunday Night Baseball? Bobby Bonilla. Six-time All-Star. Wow. Yeah, 97 World Series champion. Yeah, played one full year with the Marlins. Wow. 297 batting average, 378 on base percentage, 17 home runs. Wow, that team was stacked when you think about it. Yeah, he would have been acquired by Dave Dombrowski. But Dave Dombrowski, for the record, did not give him that deal. That was the Mets giving him that deal. Absolutely incredible. Buddy Christ, also, 4th of July to all. Hey, happy 4th of July, Buddy Christ. Happy 4th of July. April. Good morning, April. Wheeler was on point last night. Again, what was so amazing about that Zack Wheeler start, if you watch all his starts this year, I can't remember a time he was ever that deadly, I'll use the word, with the curveball. Absolutely deadly with the curveball last night. More often than not, in the dirt. And guys were still flailing away at it. He got Cronenworth on it. He got Merrill on it on an 0-2 pitch, an 0-2 curveball. Sit down. He got Johnson with it. This is the first 2 innings. They got Johnson on a 2-2 curveball, sat him down with it. Yeah, he was pretty dominant with that last night. Also, social media day, whatever that is, laugh my ass off. Social media day. I feel like every day is social media day. For Flyers fans, happy Canada Day. Pin good morning, Farzy. Hit the light. Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. T-Bro, happy Highs Day, all? Highs Day. The Fightins baby currently installing new face masks to 275 football helmets for my kid. Oh, Pop Warner team, but my fingers hurt. But my fingers hurt. That's not the "you will go to sleep or I'll put you to sleep." I forget what he says. What's the motivational line from Ben Stiller and Happy Gilmore? By the way, yeah, I can't wait till the new Happy Gilmore. Oh, can't wait. I actually interviewed Christopher McDonald. That's his name, right? Shooter McGavin. Interviewed him once. Cool dude. And I even asked him about a show he was on called Celebrity Ghost Stories. Stay with me. He told a story. I feel like maybe I've told the story on the show before. I don't know. I wouldn't be the first time I repeated myself. He told a story about how when he was a kid, his house was haunted. And he lived in, like, I think he said upstate New York. And basically, this was a wild thing. So anyway, he like came home one day from school, and there was a black boy, ghostly black boy, in the hallway, and he was like, "What?" And then, like a week later or so, there was a black boy with his father, and he was like, "What is going on?" Like this ghostly, and then they turned and walked through the wall. So then, years later, they're renovating the house, and behind that wall, it was a false wall. There was a bed with like hay and a man's work boots and a boy, like a 10-year-old boy's work boots. And they found out, doing more history on the house, that it was part of the Underground Railroad. How wild is that? Now, believe in ghosts or not, it's a wild story. But I got to ask him about that. When we got to talking about Shooter McGavin, I was like, "Hey, by the way, you were on Celebrity Ghost Stories. I really like that show. Found it really interesting." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, that happened. I was like 15 years old. I came home from a basketball game, and I was dribbling up the stairs, and there was a boy in our hallway." And I went, "What? Who? That happened. Wild, right?" Swears by it. Anyway, I tell you all that to look at Philly Magic 365. What's going on? Kepler's not allowed to hit the center field of the bank anymore. Can we please put a bigger fence up? That's the second time he's done that this year. And it was funny. They showed the replay of it when it happened. I can't remember if it was May or whatever. I think it was May. But I remember it happened, and I went, I feel like that's happened before. And sure enough, it absolutely did happen before to Max Kepler. Poor guy. Who makes the All-Star game this season for the Phillies? I think it's got to be Ranger and Wheeler. Looking around the rest of the Trey Turner, last time I looked, just looked like he was blocked from the shortstop spot. But Wheeler and Suarez, definitely your best bets. DK, a.k.a. Mr. Sandman, what's going on? As soon as I stop paying attention, the Phillies start winning. And as soon as I tap back in, they'll start losing again. DK, Mr. Sandman, take it from me. All right? I learned there's no such thing as jinxes. There's no such things as curses. We have no effect. No effect. I told you before, 2008 World Series. Everything I would do, I was so busy during the 2008 World Series, I just would not, I'd forget. I'd forget to do things. I'd forget to do my rituals, the lucky socks, the lucky jersey, the lucky shirt under the jersey, eat the chicken wings in the morning, which was a thing that I did because I'm a moron. And if I have the right amount of heartburn right before it, all right. First pitch, that'll be great. But yeah, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Watch away, DK, Mr. Sandman. Danny Prado, what's going on? Have we seen the last of complete games for pitchers, April? Yes, unfortunately. You have to be on cruise control, essentially. Going into the eighth inning, you have to be at like 90 pitches at the end of the eighth inning to have a shot at a complete game. Just not happening anymore. Just not happening anymore, unfortunately. Danny Ford, good morning. Habit 215, Trent and Watford for 6-man. Okay. DK was the same. Thank you for following me with this. You think that, I think that, you think that, I think. There we go. Moral victories for the Sixers this season. There you go. Jerry Von Skyver, good morning, Mark. You need to do a segment after games called "How Would Harry Callis Say It?" I said that on last night's postcast. Like, I'm not alone, right? I don't think I'm alone. Some kind of big play happens, and I do think it's still on the back of my mind. It's been 16 years, still on the back of my mind. I'm thinking, how would Harry call it? And last night when Bryson Stott scored from second base on an infield single. Oh, my God. Yep, absolutely. I had HK right there at the forefront of my mind. How would he have called it? He wouldn't have called him the man. I think he would have known at the moment how iconic that call was. I think he knew how iconic that call was. So I think he just would have highlighted the hustle. He would probably something along the lines of an absolute hustle play, something like that. Something like that. But always a heads up play and hustle from Bryson Stott. Now hit better than 240. Something like that. Something like that. Something like that. Hard to believe, Harry. Something like that. Something like that. Jason, I'm surprised they're keeping Grimes, but I guess they did trade for him. Yeah. But $25 million? T-Bro, Hughes Day. Okay, I thought so. I wasn't sure what the play on words maybe. But yeah, appreciate you, man. Ken Sog, morning, brother. God bless. God bless you. How about that? James Alexander III, good morning. It's about time WNBA is building a franchise in the city. It absolutely is. And you know what? I saw my man Kyle Pagan of Crossing Broad say the Liberty Bells. I'm in. Or the Philadelphia Bells. I'm in. I like that. I like it. I like it. Anyway. Hey, let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. And again, for those that just joined us, I don't know if you guys had the experience I had if you have a young daughter, but I had the experience yesterday being able to tell Lil Toots that a WNBA team was coming, and she's not, she's going to be 6. Not that in the basketball, not that in the sports, but I did tell her that a women's professional basketball team was coming to Philadelphia, and face lit up. Like, I was like, how Daddy watches the Sixers and that's a bunch of dudes? Well, in like 5 years, it'll be almost 11. Anyway, thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great. As per usual, let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Here's what you got going on for your Philadelphia Phillies tonight. 6:30 start time. Remember that. 6:30 start time tonight. Fireworks after the game, just as there were last night and during the game if you're Zack Wheeler. Phillies back at it tonight, 6:30 start time. Christopher Sanchez gets the start. Oh, now they're saying 6:35. Last night it was 6:30. 6:35 start time, a little 10 minutes earlier. There you go. Christopher Sanchez gets the start. Sanchi is 6-2 on the season with a 2.79 ERA, coming off a 5-hit, 1-run, 6-inning performance against the Houston Astros, where he also struck out 11. And unfortunately, the Phillies lost that game 2-1. Nick Pivetta, former Philly, right-handed pitcher, still popping the mitt at about 94 miles per hour. He comes into this game. Now 32 years old. He's 8-2 on the season with a 3.36 ERA, coming off a 7-inning scoreless performance with 10 strikeouts and 3 hits allowed. No walks issued against the Washington Nationals in a 1-0 game. How about that? Prior to that, got beat up a little bit by the Kansas City Royals, 4 2/3, 4 earned runs, 2 long balls, 2 walks given up. That's what he's bringing to the table tonight against the Phillies as well. Former longtime Philly, former longtime Red Sox, former Nationals prospect. I believe that was I didn't double check, but I'm pretty sure that was the Papelbon deal. Remember Jonathan Papelbon when he pitched? That's pretty wild. So there you go. That's what's going on tonight. Also, NBA free agency continues. So make sure you guys are staying abreast of all that. Keith Pompey and I will be knocking down or talking about the latest in that action today, coming up at 10 o'clock. That's the Farzy Show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be back with you guys today. Busy day for your boy. Farzy Show, wrap it up now. Locked on 76ers at 10 o'clock. Locked on Eagle Squad podcast coming up at noon. And then your Phillies postcast tonight following Phillies and Padres tonight. 6:35. Beyond right after that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great as per usual. My name is Mark Farzetta. Oh, wait. Ryan's got something here. Nick Pivetta finally pitching like he'd always hoped. All right, well, here's my question, Philly Magic 365. We can't run an NBA franchise, so we're hoping the WNBA team will be magically different. So here's my thing. Who makes it past the second round first? The Sixers or the soon-to-be-named WNBA team? Sorry, I'm not sorry. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. My name is Mark Farz. This is the Farz Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Catch you guys throughout the day today, in all sincerity. See you guys.